So today we're diving into the latest numbers for the Penguin, and it looks like the series has an incredible start to it. According to reports, the Penguin is officially HBO's biggest new series launch since The Last of Us. That's some pretty impressive company to be in, and we're going to talk about what these numbers mean for the show and DC's overall standing in the streaming game. So let's break down what we know so far. The first episode premiered with 5.3 million views in its first 4 days in just America. That's a significant achievement, especially for a show that is rated R and a part of the DC universe, which hasn't exactly had the smoothest track record recently. What's interesting is how these numbers stack up against HBO's other major hits. Initially, I thought this might have even surpassed House of Dragons, but it turns out it's being called HBO's biggest new series launch since The Last of Us, not necessarily surpassing the House of Dragons, which isn't classified as a new series since it's part of an established franchise. Now, just for context, House of Dragons Season 1 came out before The Last of Us, and Season 2 doesn't qualify as a new series launch, which is why the comparison is focused on The Last of Us, but the fact that The Penguin is even being talked about in the same breath as these major shows is a testament to how well it's doing out of the gate. We also have to consider that these numbers have likely grown since the data was first reported. The 5.3 million views are from the first 4 days of its release. And since it came out on Friday, that's already a strong number considering people's weekend watching habits. Now we're heading into episode 3, which should be out in just a few days on Sunday. And I'm really interested to see how the viewership holds up for the third episode. The key question here, though, is whether the show can maintain its momentum. This is a rated R series, which can sometimes limit the potential audience, which I completely disagree with, especially compared to something that is like The Last of Us, which had broader appeal across genres. Plus, DC is a mixed track record. Let's be honest, there's so many uncertainties about how the Penguin will perform. However, it seems like the show has struck out and hit the right chord with the audiences. What's also impressive is that the Penguin isn't necessarily a character that everyone would initially be excited for. He's no Batman or Superman or Wonder Woman. He's not a huge name like them. He's a gritty character that requires some investment from the audience, especially considering that he's more of a anti-hero with morally gray motivations. Yet despite this, the viewership numbers stay high, and the early reception has been really positive. There's definitely a lot of praise circulating the first episode, and I personally thought it was fantastic. The vibe, the atmosphere, and Colin Farrell's performance, all of it came together in a way that just worked. The vibe of this show is just amazing. It doesn't feel any different than the Batman at all. However, as with all new shows, the real test is how well it can keep those numbers up after the initial hype dies down. And personally, I think it's only going to be going up from here because I don't think everybody was super hyped about the Penguin series releasing. I think word is going to get around about how great it is, and then people are going to start watching it because nobody's going to tune in for the Penguin name. If it was a Batman name, then somebody would watch. And we've seen a lot of series come out with strong numbers for the first episode only for that to drop off. But if the Penguin can keep people hooked and continue pulling in high viewership, like I just said, for episode 3 and beyond, then we can really start talking about a major win for both HBO and DC. It's going to be really interesting to watch how this plays out. If the viewership can stay consistent or even grow, that's a fantastic sign that the audience is invested in Oswald Cobblepot's rise in Gotham's criminal underworld. But if the numbers fall off significantly, then it might just mean that the initial buzz was a result of DC fans showing up for day one without broader retention for now. Though it looks like the Penguin has started off with a bang, and I'm definitely excited to see where it goes. And I personally don't think this is just a one-time thing. I think the show is absolutely amazing, and I think they've made something really special here. I think DC might be onto something here as well. If they can continue to deliver darker, character-driven stories that feels authentic, like the Batman and now the Penguin, they might finally be carving out a unique niche for themselves in the crowded superhero genre, something that Marvel and Star Wars both don't really tap into that much. It's not about trying to mimic Marvel anymore. It's about leaning into what makes DC different, which is this gritty, moral complex storytelling that feels like it's straight out of a noir crime comic. So what do you think about the Penguin's numbers? Are you surprised by how well it's done out there? And do you think Disney is going to try to copy them with their rated R TV shows because of how well it's performing? Do you think it can keep the momentum going? Or do you think we're just going to see a drop off in the weeks to go on? Personally, I loved the first episode and the second episode. I can't wait for episode 3, but I want to hear what you guys all think. Let me know in the comments below. And if you're enjoying this content, be sure to like the video and subscribe for more updates and discussions on the Penguin. the Batman universe and everything DC related. Until next time, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.